started? We rolling now. Okay, take your time. Yeah.
Okay. Up top on the stage real quick.
Yeah.
Like that.
It's decent?
Yeah.
And then everybody certain tastes, I'll be like, I know people ain't gonna like this. It's decent. It's cool.
I like that.
Okay.
I feel the antioxidants.
Yeah, it's very smooth. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of chill.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Ain't too sweet.
Nah, it's perfect actually.
Yeah, it's like a real smooth.
Smooth.
17 grams of sugar ain't too
Silky.
bad. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You ready?
Would be nice. You know,
would be nice.
That would be nice if you could.
We rolling. Okay,
you could sponsor us.
That's easy. If you want to go ahead and hit us up, we would love for you to actually sponsor us. We will drink these a lot to the brink of extinction. We will drink these as long as we possibly can. I love grabbing these at the gas station when they got the deal or whatever. But if we can get these at wholesale prices, we would love that as well too, if that's possible. But an endorsement by Steve's would be very nice.
Would be nice.
Very nice.
I guess we should introduce the podcast.
Absolutely. So, hey, everybody, welcome back again to the Nice Guy Podcast. My name is Jock Will Wright.
Adrian Ropem Dopem. Peace.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
And we're back again with another episode of The Nice Guys. Absolutely. So, today we're going to talk about fight or flight.
Fight or flight.
Absolutely. So we hear this quite often with fight or flight. What would you do in situations? What would take place? And we're doing it from a standpoint of being a nice person or a nice guy. So
right.
We thought it would be very interesting to talk about different situational things that take place in life, the workspace, relationships, and what would you do in regards to fight or flight. So you want me to kick it off, man, and say what we want to talk about? What's up, bro?
Man, so, well, first of all, if anyone don't know what fight or flight is, you know what I'm saying? We're talking about the evolutionary process.
Absolutely.
The evolutionary behavior
Absolutely.
that we've, since times of being cavemen or whatever,
for sure.
have had to either, in dangerous situations, go into a mode of being ready to fight for our life or to, flight or take flight to flee from that situation. And in today's more modern times, that may not look, exactly like it would back in the days.
Yeah, it's a little different.
It's a little different. So, but we still have those same evolutionary evolutionary traits ingrained. So we still get that same anxiety, same, different feelings that cause us to make decisions that are, not always the best decisions.
Not always, but for some reason we're here because our grandparents did, our great-grandparents did it. So something about that evolutionary trait has allowed us to be able to have this conversation even at this point. You know what I mean? So it's something that's very interesting. I think it's something that we don't always think about all the time, but I've dealt with it. Maybe not dealt with it always in the best of sense. Maybe I've kind of tarnished certain situations, relationships with people, or kind of burned some. I didn't mean to, but at that time, I'm like, look, I'm not finna just sit here and deal with this. I'm gonna fight. I'm not gonna flight. So, and then other times you do have to fight. Sometimes you do have to pick and choose your battles. And I think that's another part of the evolution that we have to understand exactly what that is. Even in the workspace, I'm gonna get into that a little bit. The workspace for sure.
For sure.
As a African-American male in certain workspaces, you'd be like, should I be offended by certain things? Should it be like when situations come up in conversation about maybe news topics in regards to maybe our community, things of that nature, should I be the person that knows all the answers? Or should I be offended? Should I take flight? Should I just ignore the situational signs? Because I've had those situations at work where things have happened. Maybe a coach has gone nuts or a black athlete done certain things and they look at me like I'm supposed to know all the answers. I'm like, nah, I don't really know what he was thinking about that.
Right.
I'm not telepathic in that sense. I know it's collective consciousness and that's a real thing. But the reason why people react and deal with certain things, I can't tell you.
Nah.
And at those moments, sometimes I want to fight. I don't want to flop. Like, hey, man, I'm offended by that. You know what I mean? Because I don't always know. So it's just sometimes you have to think about exactly what it is, what you're dealing with, and not letting it, letting keeping it real go wrong. They should be able to put it out there for real. You know what I'm saying? Wu-Tang. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to do all that at the time. I just feel like you need to just know how to be able to pick and choose your battles and not let that situation kind of get to you. So that's my little excerpt, my little Jock Will segue. But how you feel, Adrian, about the situation, fight or flight, man?
Man, yeah. So like it brings up the larger conversation too, of just like what it takes to survive And talking about that in the workplace, like you said, there's instances where you're expected to be this or be that. And then there's times like you feel even like change yourself kind of, you know what I'm saying? You seem sorry to bother you. Going into like the code switching thing. It's like the things that we do when we feel like we have to survive being, you know, going into that. So it's like that plays into being a nice guy around the white folk, especially for us black people, you know what I'm saying? Trying to survive in corporate world or something like that. Yeah. And man, that's very stressful sometimes.
It's challenging because you have to wear a face. I even wrote a poem about it called The Mask, you know what I mean? And I really feel like I've had to, and honestly, it's a little draining sometimes because you're sitting there thinking to yourself, like, I have to put on this voice. I don't want people to be afraid, but then it's like when you disrespect it, I've had to actually literally call people to the side and have to really check them in that sense because people get into this motion. They get to thinking things are supposed to be consecutive in a certain way. They have a certain perception or persona who you are associated to that nice guy perception or whatever it is that you have to put out there as a mask. Mm-hmm. Not saying I'm a complete douche, but I do have a balance. And like I mentioned before in the previous episode, duality is a huge thing. And
right.
It shocks people when you have people thinking that you're a certain way, but then you have to like really set them straight. Like, cause I have a nice person. I have to wear the glasses. I look like little Romeo sometimes. So I look very non-threatening.
Yeah.
My voice I can be very articulate when I need to. Like right now I have my phone voice on for sure. But outside of this, I do not talk like this off camera. I'm trying to balance it out. But I do know that at the workspace, it's very draining because of the fact that you have to continue to keep putting this mask on. And if you were to take it off, it can change certain things. It can even affect your money.
Yeah.
Being able to, have to wear your hair a certain way. It's just certain things that you have to do in order to be able to survive. And that fight or flight is very interesting in those spaces.
You feel like that's changing, or is it just like on a case by case basis? I kind of feel like it's improving a little bit. Like people are becoming more inclusive and stuff like that, and not paying as much attention to like how this person dresses, how this person wears their hair, how they talk or whatever.
It is case by case. Case in point, I'm not sure if he's ever going to see this. Hopefully he does. What up, Glenn Marshall? We went to NIU together. He's actually a reporter for WGN. So like he's on the news, he's on television all the time. They allow him to wear his hair braided. He wears Jordans. He's a very spiffy guy.
Okay.
But we went to school together. I know him, I know him real, what I'm saying, all care. I know, what I'm saying? Sure. He has he had to care and stuff, had to put that, voice on, of course, that's sorry to bother you. But I think in this situation, that's a very unique case because they want to be able to gravitate and connect to the community because Chicago definitely has that different type of feel, and people that he's talking to and reaching out to as an audience, they want to use it as a sense of being able to connect and gravitate to those people. And then even like watching certain things, and I don't want to get into more detail because I don't want to ruin it for you, but watching Power, you see some things in the recent episodes and you're like, is that person being put into that position, of course, as well to attract that, to continue to keep creating that monetary gain and stuff like that, to be able to connect to that community, because we know that we contribute a lot to the gross domestic product on a yearly basis. So we are huge consumers, right? So in certain cases, I do wonder, even with that, because of the fact and the way I'm trying to put it is, they need somebody as a face. They need somebody to represent and speak to those people to be able to gravitate to that community, or to our community, excuse me, to make sure that they continue on with their monetary gain. So, I mean, I think the case by case is based off of whether or not they can capitalize or, be able to be successful off of that. I think that's a whole nother dynamic.
Go into, that could be a whole other episode.
Yeah, that might be a whole other episode for sure. So,
man, so like let's talk about like what's one of your biggest pet peeves in the workplace and how you deal with it.
Oh man, that's a very good question.
I can go first.
Go ahead, man.
I know for me, go ahead. It's when I have my earphones in and somebody come talk to me repeatedly, like one time, two times, it's cool. But if like people are just standing at your desk or wherever you work or whatever, and like just continually trying to talk, like, bro, I'm trying to listen to my music, my podcast, and get this work done. Yeah. And they just do not pay attention to that.
Wow.
That is the worst thing. Like, I hate that.
See, people consider me to be a mean person, but when I'm trying to get money and you get in the way of my money, that's my pet peeve. Because I love making money. That's never going to change. Not that I feel like I have to. Like money not saying it should be everything, but it is involved in everything that we do. You know what I'm saying? We couldn't do the things, we can't flick on a switch and not pay the light bill and the lights turn on. So like, if you get in the way of my money and I work in a very sales performance position, I'm gonna be upset. Like I had a situation where this young lady, and unfortunately I took the flight route. So let me just fix my collar on that one. I did take the flight route. I'm glad I didn't lose but she just kept talking about things that were just not even conducive to what was going on. Like it was like, why are you talking about astrology and Leos and being upset? Because I'm a Leo. You know, birthday's August 17th. Shout out to Marcus Garvey. We got the same birth date, not the year, but birth date, which is, I feel like, is a very honorable situation. Big fan of Marcus Garvey, but that's a whole nother episode, of course. But for some reason, this young lady was so stuck on Leos because she had dated somebody and the situation went south. It went bad. She had bad experiences. That person mistreated her. And every time something would come up, if I were to say something, she, oh, you a Leo.
Oh my God, you're such a Leo.
You are a Leo. And then she would go into these rants. These crazy, complicated rants. I'm like, we were training to get money because like AEP, annual enrollment period, I work in health insurance, life insurance industry. If you guys want to know what I do in terms of my day job or whatnot outside of this, and also hustling with my art and everything as well. That's how I keep the bills going. So you're affecting my way of being able to understand how to coach and navigate these conversations with these people on the call by having these excerpts that means nothing to me making money. So that was my biggest pet peeve. Yeah. And after I made a comment and I was trying to get some things, understood, she was like, oh, you were just a Leo. And I just took fight. And I told her, you need to be quiet. You need to close your mouth, please. And I can't say what I said right now. Yeah. We trying to monetize, we can't be cussing. So I did a little bit of some cuss. I didn't realize I even cussed. It was just a moment. Like I blanked out for a second. I'm trying to work on that part of me. It'd be like that. Because, I kind of grew up in a very hostile environment sometimes. Wasn't always very logical, was very emotional because of certain things. And that's a whole nother episode, of course. But I know that's still in me. It's still ingrained for years. Like I can see myself get really angry very quickly. I'm trying to work on that. I went to anger management before. And that moment just really irritated me because I was doing a lot of stuff outside of work and it wasn't helping me feel like I was getting towards this bag that I need to get. So I keep the lights on. I won't be homeless. You want to talk about me being Leo? Nigga? I'm going to be a homeless Leo if you don't shut up.
See, man, I kind of wish I had done that more when I was in the workplace. Because I would kind of just like put up with it. Like people come and talking to me like, I'd just be like, oh yeah, man. Man, that's crazy. Oh man.
But in your mind, like, man,
I'm like, man. There was a couple people that I would actually tell just because I was like, I don't know, they had like either we were that cool or like I just didn't care that much. I cared that little about them. Yeah. Like they were just kind of like I don't know. I don't want to be too rude, but they were just like, some people are like that mascot figure. And you know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah. So it was a certain people that I would be like, hey man, I'm trying to listen to this real, you mind? You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, I would just kind of, suck my teeth and, or, put on a little fake smile and be the nice guy in the situation. Yeah. But I kind of feel like I wish I would have stood up for my space, protecting my peace a little better. Because at the end of the day, man, like what a lot of people don't realize is like, or a lot of people get offended by the fact that some people view work as just like, I'm just here to get paid. Everybody here, we not friends. Like,
wait a second. I apply for this job so I can be your friend.
Right.
It trips me every time I think about it, and they get mad. They're like, I can't believe you don't think this is your everything. You're all. I have a purpose, and like my purpose is not this. This job is getting me to that place. Exactly. Whether I like you or not doesn't mean anything. Can we work and get the job done? That's all that matters. And I grew up in that type of household, so like, people don't always like that straightforward militant approach. They like he's mean. I'm like, no. For real. I'm actual factual in this mother. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to cuss in this mother flipper. You understand what I'm saying? Right. Mother flipper. I said it.
And this flubber. Man, flubber. Listen. Yeah, I mean, we had certain homies and stuff that were there that it's like, all right, we go hoop after work or something like that. We might go to the bar, to the gym together or something like that. But at the end of the day, we still have a a realization. I just made that word up.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It's all good.
Still have a realization of what it is. You feel me?
Do that.
Yeah,
you can do that.
Yeah.
You can make that shit up.
Yeah, because I mean,
somebody created a dictionary. We can make some words. That's another. That's another
our
episode.
podcast.
It's our podcast.
Yeah, so you still realization. I don't even know if that's what I said.
I love it. I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna slide it in and people say comparable. That's not a word. It's comparable.
Right.
Not comparable. It's comparable. So realization. I like that. I'm gonna use that.
Hashtag. Put realization. Put what you realized in the comments.
Realization.
You know what I'm saying?
But people been saying ain't for the long. That ain't even a word. That's a conjunction. But people created that.
Exactly.
And that was a part of Webster. Somehow they just slid that right on in. You just slide a new word into Webster really quick. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So go ahead. Recognize that. I like that. Realization. I'm gonna spell it out and throw somebody off on that.
Right.
Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. That's fire. I ain't playing. I'm gonna start using that.
We innovators over here.
I like it.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what people gotta understand about innovators not always nice.
They're not gonna be liked it either. I made that up, liked it. I made that shit up too. I like it. We're gonna throw some words and I'm loving it. Cause I'm gonna say some thinkings, some liking it.
Yeah.
We gonna throw some words.
Bro, my niggas had an S to everything.
Cause it just sound good.
My dad say Sonics, Walmarts.
Cause that S just feels
Home
good.
Depots.
It feels good.
I guess so.
It's ingrained in that melanin somewhere.
Right.
The S is silent, but it come out when it's supposed to.
Right.
We just put the S's on them.
Mm-hmm.
I just say S's. That ain't supposed to be. S's.
Right.
It just sound good.
Why not?
It's like when you flowing and that melanin is going, them words come out. And it sounds so eloquent.
For sure. Right.
Yeah, and people pick up on it.
Eloquence.
Yeah, you can make up words all day you want. People don't realize, like, Brother Polite, I'm not the biggest fan of him, but he created his own language. We have capable of doing those type of things.
Yeah.
People don't like that because, of course, I mean, group thinking is something else.
Right.
I took a philosophy course in college, and the professor liked me, but he kicked me out of the class. But that's a whole nother conversation. I definitely want to get into philosophicals. You know what I'm saying? I want to talk about that. Put the S on there. I'll put the philosophicals on there. Yeah. Because it just feel good. But I was in the class and he was like, everybody know do this. And I just didn't do it. He's like, you know what? You need to leave. And we had a conversation. He wasn't really being serious. He was making an example out of the situation in regards to group thinking. And we see historically how that works out for people that have been revolutionaries, things of that nature as well, that stand out against the green thumbs that need to be excommunicated. Well, that's a whole nother episode, but we get into it though a little bit. For sure, man. I think that's definitely needed. Those are trailblazers, man. People that are different. Like, even though Dave Chappelle makes jokes about Prince or Rick James, they were innovative. They did some different things.
Absolutely.
People were wearing jute perms and braids with the beads, right? Because of these characters.
Exactly.
I don't know about
the spandex.
I don't know about the booty out and all that, but you know what I'm saying? Like, people were still doing some of the tighter clothes. Even with, look at Eddie Murphy in Raw. He was wearing that tight red outfit. That somehow became some kind of a way. It was kind of saucy at one point. I'm not wearing it, but that's cool.
Yeah, but that's cool. Good for y'all.
These tight, as far as I'm gonna go with these tight khakis. Light skin khakis. Shout out to my boy Cordero. I got some in the mall today, brother. He gonna be like, he gonna be Cordero gonna come out of skin one day. He gonna be leave me alone. Leave me alone. Like, what up? I'm like, no, I need that. Yeah. I was thinking about that on the way here. I need Cord to come out like, mother. I'm like, there we go, Cord. There we go. Come out of this. It might happen
one day.
Yeah, it's gonna come out.
But like, anytime you kind of go against the grain, you can be labeled as mean, rude, all of that stuff like that. But it's like, a lot of times you just, like, I just don't think like you think. I just have different priorities than what you have. Or I just want something different. Like, I just want to be left alone today. Like, maybe I'm going through something, like,
and that place,
people take things so personally.
Insecurities. If you don't know how to be in your own skin and be comfortable with that, that's a problem. Right. I think that's another part of that's another indoctrination. We need to talk about it. But I feel like that's another part of it as well, because we've been taught certain things, even like from a social aspect as kids. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That you have to fit in, you have to be like everybody else. You don't have to be like that. And you never should feel afraid to be different. I do like some of the things that people do, and I don't like things other people do. I should be allowed to have that in and out. And if you don't understand it, that's your problem. That's not mine. I'm still going to do me. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's just how that has to go.
Absolutely.
Once people understand, like you was in your space at work, you are in your space. You came here not to be buddy all the time.
Yeah.
You want to be in your own space, respect.
Exactly. If I got to be here, like I at least want to be at peace while I'm here. As much as it's possible.
The man's last name is Peace.
My last name is Peace. I know. I
thought that was just like a stage name. That's last name is Peace.
Government.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah, this is your real government. Not your spiritual last name, but your government last name. That's another concept. But
but it's like, so in some instances, it's better to fight for yourself or to fight in that situation. Some instances, it's better to take flight.
Yeah.
Like you talked about, you had an instance where you took fight and you shouldn't have.
I shouldn't have at all.
I've had many instances where I in a sense, took flight because I didn't stand up for my peace.
And then, the middle ground. Where is the middle ground? Because in that situation, or those situations, you could have had a middle ground. Me, I allowed myself to look very immature and irate when really it was a lot more going on outside of the situation. That person just kept poking at me.
Yeah.
You know, because of the fact that I stood out. You know, I feel like I'm a handsome man. I know it. She wants some of this sauce. I know what it is. I don't want none of that sauce at all. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh. If she ever sees this, never. It would never happen. Even if I was drunk and I was incapacitated, I would wake up out of nowhere like, oh no, roll over and just never.
I think I'm sober now.
Yeah, never.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I feel like it was something about me and my energy that didn't resonate with her insecurities or what she felt like or what she dealt with, you know. But at the same time, finding that middle ground and not allowing myself to react emotionally.
Yeah.
You know, that was a thing that I had to learn at that very instant because it carried on. Mm-hmm. You know, people perceive me a certain way, but you don't know me like that.
Right.
You just know me from that instance, and that's what people go based off. And sometimes I'm like, F it. I'm just going to do me, you know, at times. But then sometimes that can have consequences a lot of times, too. So you just have to be able to have that balance.
For sure.
So that middle ground would have been me just saying, you know what, let me talk to you after this conversation to figure out what it really is.
Yeah.
But in my mind state, because I was dealing with so much stuff at that very moment financially, you're getting away with my money.
Mm-hmm.
And when people play with my money, I don't know what it is about me, but I'm like Big Perm. I'm not playing with the bread. You know, I don't want to hurt nobody, but that's like playing with my livelihood. And my livelihood, that's fight or flight. That's part of evolutionary ingrainments.
Right.
I made that up. I don't know what that means, but I made that up too.
Recognizations
and ingrainments. We're making up words here, so just follow along. You know what I'm saying? Over time, you'll start to catch on the words and be picked up because Ebonics is a real thing. People want to make it seem like it's derogated as bad, but it's just way because they have to control such a small population within the mass of. That's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother conversation. The reason for that, COINTELPRO, John Edgar Hughes, we're going to get to those conversations at some point.
For sure.
Those are real things that took place, and there's a reason why people don't know certain information. It's a reason why I didn't know Africa or Egypt was in Africa for a long time. There's a reason for these types of things. We didn't start in slavery. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation. But I get Big Perm when my money's being involved. But at the same time, I'm just learning. I feel I'm still evolving, still growing. I think you can definitely understand it as well. And it's that reflection. There's nothing wrong with that. But not getting stuck in it. You know, getting stuck in that reflection or analyzing certain things in the past, realizations, and moving forward.
Preach.
You know what I'm saying? Just moving forward. Knowing that going forward, I'm not going to let people get in my space and bother me. Look here, man. Look, listen. No. Go sit down.
Yep.
All right? Cool. You good? All right, perfect. Get you a soda or something. You know what I mean? That's how you have to be sometimes with people, and they don't know how to respect it because you have to demand respect sometimes. All the time, actually. I'm sorry. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
Even my parents, I had to learn how to demand respect because I wasn't, like, if you don't demand it and respect yourself, that also leads back to, like I mentioned before in the previous, self-love. Is respecting your space, making people respect your space, but in a way that is not disrespectful. And that's what I'm learning my balance there. I'm learning that. Still something I'm growing to understand as we speak it. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. If anybody can resonate and connect with that, I hope you can. And it speaks to you. And if you agree, you already come to that understanding as well, that's a beautiful thing because I had to learn that. I used to be too nice and on the same level as you. I used to be like, all right, I'll do it, whatever, it's cool. And this was I was too passive back in the day. Now it's like, no, I'm not letting it happen. Even in relationship, I've let certain things slide that is unhealthy. And when I set that boundary, I'm going to give a case in point. Was dealing with a very toxic relationship in college. And the girl knew that she had me wrapped around her finger in a sense, 'cause I was doing a lot of things. I was doing a lot, too much. I don't want to embarrass myself on the camera. But once I came to two, I made that up, and came to my realizations, I realized that I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to continue to keep falling within the same suit and allow you to have that same energy of my presence and taking over my universe. So I was like, you know what? I'm cutting this short, because she would play that emotional game. Like, she'll break up with me.
Oh, yeah.
Ignore my calls. I'm calling her 20 times in a row on the R&B. One wish.
Yeah.
Oh, baby. All that. You know what I'm saying? My baby's born. All that. So I was doing all that at one time. And then I came to understand it when I became Mr. Poppy Chulo and the Game of Omegas, and I got introduced to that Latin love. That's another conversation. That Latin love is something else. It's spicy. Something different. I love the Latin love. I'll be honest. That shit was delicious. Yeah. Scrumptious. But anyway, I cut it short. When she was like, we're done. I'm like, yeah, we are done. Mm-hmm. I had to step my ground and grab my gonads. And I was like, I gave to my realizations. Y'all hear that? That damn word is gonna stick. And I cut it short. And the girl went crazy. Right time, you know what I'm saying? All that. You know what I'm saying? I came to my it was time to say goodbye to them.
Oh yeah, that was the right time. That was exactly.
And she came to her realizations, and then she started stalking me and like hacked in my Facebook account. Said she was gonna kill me.
Oh Lord.
Dropping off. She lived like 2 hours away, would drive to my dorm and leave presents and stuff. I had to make sure I'm looking at no anthrax. I'm like, what's wrong with this?
Nah, that's wild.
So, and then she wrote me a 16-page letter. I burned it, never read it. And even to this day, man, I told her, some situations, and she came back around again with trying to like get in where she can fit in. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, nah, bro, you can't have that space no more. You pour out of those spaces, people can't have that control because of their own personal or covert narcissistic tendencies, whatever the situation is. You stand your ground, you respect yourself, you respect, your love for yourself, and then they have to respect you too. Right. And then she would just head over the heels. At that point, she was just trying to figure out a way to get back in. But she had it, sometimes you don't realize what you got until it's gone too. So, sometimes when you're too good of a person, you have to be able to show people your value.
Tabernacle.
Preach. Show people your value at all times, even in the workspace. You know what I'm saying? You might think I'm replaceable, but trust me, you're going to feel a different energy when I leave. That's just how that works.
And know that your value ain't 100% monetary either. You know what I'm saying? That's important because sometimes your bank account might not look right. Yeah. But you still got to show people your value and know that comes, part of that comes intrinsically. I would say most of it comes intrinsically, not extrinsically. So you gotta, in showing people your value, know that comes from a place inside of you, comes from your character. It comes from you having your, how pure is your heart, how pure your, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. How
your intentions.
You feel me?
Who you are.
And then on a more macro level of what you're talking about for people who struggle with this, for me anyways, what helped me get to that point is kind of like having a realization of that fight or flight behavior, like keeping that in mind that as humans, we do have that ingrained in us. Yeah. So being able to realize in those situations what's happening, like, okay, though I feel this way right now because I'm choosing flight. Yeah. And because, my behavioral ingrainments. It's probably another one right there.
Ingrainments. You were saying earlier. Ingrainments. So it's gonna stick.
My behavioral ingrainments is telling me to do this, but I don't have to listen to that. You know what I'm saying? I can go the other way.
You can make a choice.
I can make that choice to keep my balance.
Facts, and that's the thing that we have that separates us. Even though we are part of the animal kingdom, whether we want to separate ourselves or not, part of this world, we are still here. We have animalistic tendencies at times as well too, but our evolution, like Charles Darwin talked about, we have metacognition, so that allows us to think about our thinking. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So we can actually take that moment and we understand at that moment, even though we can be primal when we were super upset and angry, at other points we could definitely still take that moment and be able to make another finite decision. Right. Which other creatures don't have that opportunity to do a lot of times, even primates. So it's like, unless their intelligence level is at that point, but of course our intelligence is a little bit separate from others. Not saying that Again, we're trying to downgrade any other being because I love animals. I'm always going to treat them with respect. And they love me too in retrospect for the most part. I've been attacked by one dog. The dog had psychological issues, separation anxiety. It was a Japanese Akita. I'm just going to be real. And it was an alpha. So he was cool. But then his wolf came out. Yeah. So they're like the closest derivative from wolves. Like in terms of the evolutionary trait, they have the closest geneticism to wolves besides huskies. And that came out. Yeah. I'm petting, I'm chilling. I'm chilling. His name was Champ. I was chilling with Champ, rubbing his head. Yeah. And the nigga just started eating my hand. God damn. Yeah. I got the scars all over my hand. They kind of get better over time, but I had some scars all over my wrist and stuff. He was eating the hand up. And that was, him in his mindset, he thought that was the right thing to do because he was feeling anxious. In his mind, he's thinking like, I feel threatened. I feel like you're in my space. Whereas with us, we can make that differentiation. Right. He wasn't able to do that. If you want to make that connection. So yeah, fight or flight, we have that ingrainments in us, those recognizations.
Speaking of those recognizations, ingrainments, and thinking about your thinkings. Sometimes we got to choose flight. Yes. So, what I'm saying, for some of us who are in the workplace, but we want to be more independent. Now, that's something that you a lot of times have to work towards. You do. And then in others instances, you might decide to just take a chance and jump the ship. I've done that. But regardless, you have to choose that flight, that, you know what I'm saying, to take flight.
Yeah, and even if you bust your head wide open to the white meat shows. Yeah. I've done that.
Which will happen.
Oh, I've done that. I'm dealing with it. That's why I was tripping on a girl. Cause I'm like, look, the money is short. It froze up. It was doing good. The art was doing all right. Hey, then just when they got low and the ingredients kicked in.
Relationships are luxury ticket items.
Yes. That's another financial thing that we can talk about. That's another time. We're going to have to take that damn time about should we be financing these situations because sometimes it's not necessary to do. Unless you financing me too. I've had that. I've had that cohesion where we were both working to help each other. I never seen that before. I didn't know how to even appreciate it, at the time because the girl was just so loving and helpful. You know what I'm saying? And I've had it in a couple different ways. And I've seen the other side of it where a person just wants to drain and they're energy vampires and they're financial vampires. Yeah. You've seen both of those, but I've never been a super simp. I got done bogus because I was trying to be nice to somebody's child because it was something ingrained in me, ingrainments from my childhood, and I had to learn what that was. But I learned. Sometimes we have to bust our heads to the white meat show to understand some new things too. The white meats, that's a real thing too. We're going to talk about that one day as well, the white meats, because sometimes you bump your head is necessary. Sometimes you got to have these scars and these bruises to learn because you walk away from it with a brand new understanding of something that you never understood before. Exactly. So if you have to take flight from your job, I'm not encouraging people to quit if you know that you can't financially sustain that, especially if you got a family or whatever the situation is. But if you're independent, you think you can take that chance, you want to take the chance on yourself, I say take it. Yeah. Because you'll learn some things.
You will definitely learn some things. I did that over the panoramic.
Yeah, panoramic. Panoramic, yeah.
Yeah.
Not pandemic, panoramic.
Nah, yeah. Definitely said that. Over the panoramic. I made that decision to leave my job behind, and I've had very high ups. I've had some very low lows. Yeah, and it happens. And I've failed. I've looked back and said, "Dang, I should have done this with my money at this time," or "Wow, why didn't I do this with these relationships?" And those are just things that you have to go through to become a better entrepreneur, better business person, and a better person in general to build character. So anyone who's out there thinking about, who has a desire to be independent from their 9-to-5 and stuff like that, keep working towards that. And if you feel that pull to jump the ship and, get in that, jump in the water without a lifeboat, you know what I'm saying?
How would you know?
Right.
How will you ever know if you never took
you never gonna really feel ready. Yeah. With everything, you're not going to feel
doing this. We just came up with some ideas. We do this together. I mean, this is when you're taking opportunities to build something. It's always going to be some uncomfortability. You got to be willing to be uncomfortable. You got to be willing to be able to make certain sacrifices and deal with certain things, but also know that it's going to help you build some different type of character. Because, like for me, I work in a call center setting, but I'm not going to sit there and follow suit because everybody else is going to jump off the bridge. I'm still gonna hold still to who I am, and you're gonna respect that to a certain degree. Like, I get that you want me to follow suit in every aspect of the way. I'm not gonna do that. As long as I show up to work on time, I'm making money, I'm producing. I'm not doing above and beyond for somebody else. I'm not gonna do it. Like, I'll do to the extent where it's able to benefit me. Now, if it's equal exchange, then yeah, we're gonna do that. But it's not gonna be a situation where I'm gonna overwork myself in an environment, to appease somebody else's understanding or make them feel happy. Like, what about my happiness? What about me? We got to have an equal exchange, and that's another type of relationship as well too. So definitely, if you're not feeling like that's the situation in your situation, and you're coming to some realizations, take flight. Try to see what's going to work for you. Now, if it's going to affect other people and children, don't advise to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Kids don't need to go through that.
Try to get you some investment first.
Yeah, they don't need to be living in the cars and staying in the Gmail crib and all in the basements, pissy stairwell and all that. You don't need to deal with that. I've seen that. You don't do that. Don't do that to the kids. They don't deserve that. You have to be responsible too. So you make a decision, you got to follow suit.
Indeed. All right, so I think we at the point of getting to one of our special segments.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But before we do that, I want you to take a minute to talk about what we got behind us right here.
So, what we got behind us is a piece, man. And it definitely stands out. I don't ever paint in vain. There's always a spiritual thing. I probably was, that green was definitely hitting the soul. But, so the main character that I put on this piece, I like anime, obviously. He does. We both like anime. We're fans of anime. Is One Piece, and the reason why I like him is because I think within the breakdown of his character, he had consumed the gum fruit or the devil fruit called the gum, and it allowed him to be able to expand on his. He's kind of not the smartest. Yeah. So he has to do things head first, and I think that's symbolic because sometimes we got to take things head first, bump our head a little bit in order to grow and expand, understand our situation. And there's a little bit of duality within this piece as well too. But even with Goku, kind of a head first type person, but he allows his adversity to make him strong. So that's very important there as well. He's more of the protagonist versus the antagonist throughout the season, depending on how you want to see it. That's a whole nother conversation, a whole nother episode, of course. Right. But then even when he goes into his instinct, that's a whole nother line of separatism for him as a character. You know what I'm saying? Because he taps into his instinct and it takes it to a whole nother level. He's above God at that point, or God level. So that, I think, to me, is very interesting in what they're trying to get at in terms of that concept. I think that's very important as well. Now we got my boy right here. I forget his name.
It's my boy Tanjiro.
Oh my gosh, I don't know why I can't remember his name. But anyway, it left me for a second. But he is definitely a demon slayer. I think his whole story is very poetic. Didn't expect the sister to be involved in the way she was, but she, for her love for him and their sake of their relationship, was able to look past that and keep things sustained. I think he's very empathic, which I appreciate. I think that's one of his powers, is being empathic. Because even though these demons are doing very crazy things in this world, he's still able to look past and understand their story and empathize with the character before they become demonic entity or whatnot. Then we got my boy Vegeta. All right. He's an egotistical asshole. Right. But I need his story, because you need to understand that no matter how pious or how high you think you are, there's always somebody that's going to be better. And no matter where, you know what I'm saying, you are in life sometimes, even if you think that you're a king, there's going to be somebody that's going to be able to top what you got going on. And you got to use that adversity as seen as a way for you to get better. And even though he's second suit, he should be second fiddle because of the fact that in the Saiyan world, he's the prince of all Saiyans. Nobody's more powerful than him. His ego is broken down. Yeah. But his ego allows him to get more powerful as well above, Super Saiyan God as well. So that's his ego, you know what I'm saying? Vegeta ego power sense. So I like that duality, like between the two characters, because they're needed. They fuse together. They do different things, but they overcome battles. And I like the fact that he has his own personal battle with knowing that somebody that's seen as a peasant within his society is a lot more powerful and almost godlike in regard. He's always a step above. And it makes him have to step his game up. Even though his ego is huge, he's a little short dude with all his ego and shit in the show. Anyway, nothing against short. Nobody.
I don't know why you pointed at me when you did that.
No, I didn't point at you. I didn't point at you, man. And then we got my boy. Why can't these characters?
Gon and Killua.
You got Killua, and then we got Gary. Yeah. So those two characters right there. So Oh man, why can't I remember the name of the show right now?
Hunter.
Yeah. Why can't I remember certain stuff? Anyway, I'm a little sleepy, y'all.
Yeah.
I worked out 3 times yesterday. I'm like, I don't know if y'all see this belly coming in, but your boy ain't never had a belly like this before, and I'm skinny fat, and I don't like it. I gotta get rid of this.
Skinny fat.
Y'all seen a couple episodes, your boy gonna get slim again. Cause I was slim, man. I started eating crazy in these vending machines and honey buns.
Mm-hmm.
But these 2 characters, I think they're very essential. I like Killua. His story because he has a family of assassins, but he's able to use his abilities for that. And then I can relate to Gon because of the fact that he got daddy issues. You know, his character really resonated because no matter how great he was, his father still was a asshole.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the fact that he's able to have that push and being optimistic, I can relate to him as when I was a child because as I became older, I understood things from a different perspective. But his character definitely resonates in that way. Then you got my boy from My Hero Academia.
Yep, crybaby Deku.
He is a crybaby ass. I can't stand him, but I understand. I've never been a crybaby. I never really cried too much. I didn't start crying really until I got to like maybe my 20s, letting the tears roll, which wasn't always the healthiest, but that's a whole nother concept of understanding the thing, maybe a whole nother conversation in another episode as well. But I like his story because he does use that crybaby essence in order to make him a little bit stronger. So these characters all have something that I can relate to and kind of dive into. But check out my business, my small business. I don't have to call it small, but my business, the Only Art District. I want to expand on that, but if you want some artwork, commission work, holler at me. I'll definitely take care of that for you.
All right, we get into our segment, Buzzword Breakdown.
Absolutely. We were talking about narcissism a little bit earlier. You want to talk about that? Because that was a big word for
that is still is, definitely.
I think that for narcissism, it plays its part. I feel like as long as you know how to manage it and it's not affecting other people, it's not always the worst thing to be narcissistic in a sense, but to what degree? And we're going to talk about another episode called Beef, because narcissism, when it affects other people, that's when it's like, okay, you need to manage this.
Yeah.
I think we all got a little bit of narcissism.
I think we all have narcissistic tendencies, like you said, but the word narcissist is thrown around like crazy, like a football, man. Like,
damn, all right.
And it's like we not really allowed to say crazy anymore, like about somebody. Like say that person is crazy because that's a medical term or whatever, psycho. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? This not technically correct, but I feel like we don't keep that same energy with the word narcissist. Like that's a medical kind of term. It is. Narcissistic disorder is a real thing. Exactly, but we just go around calling everybody narcissist, or I don't want to say we. It was mostly the female, mostly women. I mean, I gotta say.
Okay.
I went there, man.
Oh, he went there.
I went there.
So I'm gonna get some gripe for this one. I don't care. I feel like it's a natural thing for me. And I've had conversations with you about this as well. But because I don't like getting into religion too much. But even in that, you see that some of the pitfalls of these very powerful. Even the first man on earth in the Bible is taken down by the narcissistic tendencies of a woman.
Man.
I'm just gonna say it like that.
Yeah.
Because she wanted to see him be more godlike, have understanding of good and evil.
Yeah.
And because of that, God told you don't touch that tree. You went over there and listened to the serpent and the bad guy. That's a whole other episode.
Cuz like, I'm good.
But she allowed that. Yeah. And he allowed himself. Can I say it, bitch? Did I say it out loud? I didn't say it out loud. No. It just slipped out. Okay. Be bitch. And when that happened, it just, it took them out of the Garden of Eden. That's a whole nother perception. Or even with Samson and Delilah, I always look at those two concepts as well. Like, he had all this power, all this strength.
Yeah.
He had a secret that God let him know where his strength came from.
Right.
And he shared it with somebody else. And I think it's very symbolic as well, too. So I might get some gripe for that. And ladies, I'm not trying to be mean or anything like that, but we do understand that there's a certain give or pull in these relationships, and I recognize it. So if you don't fuck with me for that, I get it. I understand. But I'm gonna let it be known. Like, I understand exactly what this is. Not every female's like that, but there's a lot out there. And it's in the nature. They don't really understand what it is, but I've heard in the conversation, I have 2 younger sisters, I hear certain things, I'm like, what? And it makes sense, but it don't make sense to me.
Right.
And I think it ties into that narcissism.
Listen, I've had this conversation with so many women, and if anybody asks me about any of my exes, I'm honest.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna tell you, if you really want to know what happened, if, we cool like that for enough for me to tell you. And I'm gonna tell you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the beginning and at the end of all of it, I'm gonna tell you. But I love them.
Yeah.
And I don't have no hard feelings towards them or anything like that. They was just going through a situation, or they was just, what I'm saying, or we were just not right for each other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna take accountability for my part as well.
That's good.
So why, women? Why?
Ooh.
Yeah, before you agree now, I'll jump out on this ledge myself.
Including march off.
Yeah. Why is every ex that you have a narcissist?
That's what they say. A lot of time I realize that narcissists call out other narcissists because they narcissists.
Man.
They don't want to take on account. That's another conversation, but we can get in there a little bit. So I don't think women always take accountability. I've seen it, and I'm just like, I've seen it in a way where it's just like, are you fucking serious? And they are. And I've had exes tell me certain things. I'm just like, so I did all this, but you done nothing.
Yeah.
You did nothing at all. Like, you done nothing. Can I get in the camera? You done nothing at all. How?
That's another conversation too. When your female friend like that you just friends with is telling you about her ex and you kind of feel him. Like he did all of these things, he did this, and this, and you like, I might have done the same thing, but damn, how dare he?
Yeah. But I also take it in with a grain of salt because a lot of times I've heard people talk about things and I can put no names out there, people out there, but what did you do in this situation? I'm hearing all this stuff about the other cat and how bad he is and what he got. And number one, you tolerating this bull crap or whatever for whatever reasons. But on top of that, what are you doing in these circumstances?
Mm-hmm.
These arguments, things that are happening. What are you actually doing? Are you doing anything to provoke this as well? Because it can't just be one. I'm only hearing your side of the story.
Right.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Because it's a whole nother dynamic, and I'm hearing you demonize the person, but where your demons at?
Exactly.
Everybody got it. Ain't nobody perfect. One perfect person they talk about so often that's profound is Jesus. They hung him on the cross.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So unless you that person, I don't see it. Everybody got their faults. And I noticed that. No accountability being taken. And I realized that more and more as I got older. And in growing up in a female environment, I had two, a younger sister and my mom. And I was only male in the house. So I noticed certain things. I'm just like, I'm always the bad guy in everything. How the hell I'm always the bad guy?
Right.
And ain't nobody else doing nothing.
Exactly.
Oh, Benji this and Benji that. Benjamin did this, Benjamin. Hold on, what y'all do? What y'all doing over y'all? Y'all don't stink? I noticed that I got older and I have an older cousin. I talk to a lot, you know what I'm saying? He's about 42. Shout out to my cousin Dino. He's still on the south side. He got a couple properties out there, man. Shout out to, Chicago. That's where I'm from as well, too. And he just was the only male really in the house so consistent. He got an older mother, younger sister, kind of same dynamic as me. And we have these same conversations. Mm-hmm. He always doing something wrong. How the hell is he always doing something wrong?
Right.
How does that work out? So it's just very interesting seeing that dynamic.
For sure. Yeah. So all in all, not everybody is a narcissist. In fact, we all have narcissistic tendencies, but very few people are actual narcissists that you'll run into. Like, if you keep, there might be a reason that you keep attracting narcissists to you too. You might want to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And I would say,
sip on that one.
Yeah, go. Yeah.
Oh, Steve's. Shout out to Steve's. I'm gonna sip on my Steve's on that one because you keep attracting the same energy. There's something about your energy that you keep attracting. I think it's definitely interesting that we would actually talk about that as a sub conversation in a sense, but also bringing to the light of what's going on because not everybody wants to talk about what's real in front of everybody. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I feel like we're in a society where people don't want to see their faults ever or being brought to the table. And when we're talking about the dynamic of women, sometimes they don't ever want to take accountability for what they did wrong. They just want to always see the damsel in distress and they need some type of hero to come save them.
That's what I was about to say. Like, also, gotta real because not everybody's a narcissist. Like some people, some of these people, and some of y'all just need to stop going. Honestly, like let's be real with each other right now. Stop jumping from relationship to relationship.
Monkey branch.
Get your money right first. Mm. Do some healings. Have some realizations. And then you can go and be in a relationship. You jumping back and forth to like come on now. Your ex wasn't a narcissist. You just wasn't healed.
You chose the wrong person sometimes.
And you attracted somebody that also wasn't healed.
Exactly, because your energy. Exactly. That polarity is there and it's going to be there. Like, even with me, I had to realize I was dealing with this young lady. I was like, why do I keep attracting the same type of person? And it's my energy.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm happy to. That's another comment we're going to talk about in the episode, having your space. Because you talked about it earlier within the workspace, but having your own personal space.
That's real.
That's where you can cocoon at. That's where you go into the dark spaces. That's why I take breaks from social media for a couple months.
Yeah.
People not going to see no paintings because that's my spiritual approach. I'm giving you a part of who I am and how I feel. Like, however that comes out on the canvas, you resonated to it because it's a piece of who I am and what I'm feeling at that moment. Everything I do is feeling based. Even when we talk about music, we're talking about that as well. I can't create in the studio. I have to be able to feel in my own space and create. Everybody's different with the creative process. So I feel like even in terms of dealing with relationships and dealing with yourself, you got to be willing to be in your own space and be to yourself because your space is sacred, man. It's a reason why you have it.
Absolutely.
You have to be able to take time away from society, take time from people to be able to regroup and can recharge yourself. Very important. Especially as we're going to talk about that too, being introverted. Like, you got to be able to have time to yourself.
Recharge. Yeah. Absolutely. Man, I think we did it.
I think we did it.
Another one in the books.
There's another one in the books, man, for sure. Absolutely. So definitely want to make sure we wrap it up with you all, of course. So definitely be, staying tuned. We definitely got some more exciting things coming up. We're definitely getting things pulled together, but we're so glad to have everybody in our space with us at this pertune, I think I'm saying the right. I made up another word.
Yeah.
At the pertune moment, I just made some new stuff up, but at this moment, we really appreciate you being here with us at the Nice Guy Podcast. Again, my name is Jacques Will Wright.
Adrian Peace.
And this is the Nice Guy Podcast. You all have a blessed day. Thank you. One love.
Peace.